Hey everyone, today the newest patch came out, first major patch that made a lot of different changes, a lot of bug fixes, some balance changes even for the game. And I don't know if everyone likes to read through these or whatever, so I just thought I'd cover them, give my opinions on some of the changes, and kind of go into what some of these changes may mean for certain builds that are going out there. But anyways, let's get into the patch notes. So beginning with the new features they added, just a quality of life thing, but really appreciated. You can now more easily sort through your inventory, so if you're stacking up all kinds of different pieces of equipment because you're not sure what to use, or you have different pieces of gear for different builds on a certain character, now you can sort them by rarity and even filter them out by class, so it'll be a lot easier when you're looking for what pieces you want for what specific character. There isn't a whole lot to this, but I have been using this already and it is very nice. The main bulk of what I'm really interested in with this patch here is the balance section. Not all of this is directly combat related balance, but sort of campaign balance. After doing the Knights tournament within the training grounds, which is the function that grants an entire level at once for the cost of gold, you can now cancel this. Previously, you couldn't, and that was leading to some players locking in some characters, not realizing they may need them for an upcoming mission. Like, I know in one case someone was telling me how they had locked Mordred into the training ground, and the only mission they had left was a story mission, so they had essentially soft locked their game. Now you can cancel it, but you won't get your gold back. So always check your missions before you choose to put someone in the training ground. For Sir Tristan, they're actually buffing him, which I think is a great decision. He's really not great, at least pre-patch, when you first recruit him, given that you're going up against a bunch of Lost, he has poison, he can feel very underwhelming, and he's actually a pretty strong hero, especially later in the game, so by bumping his level up to 4 from 3, and giving him jump, you can immediately get access to some of that mobility, so he doesn't feel so strict on how you can use him. I think this is a good change and will maybe make some players reconsider keeping him for later on or booting him from the get-go. So Tegir actually now starts at level 7 instead of 6. This actually kind of surprised me a bit. I think this isn't a bad change, this just definitely wasn't something I was even thinking about. The sprint ability, not exactly a great ability, but now it is properly tagged as a movement skill. This next one here is actually a big buff to champions, as well as some of the marksmen. Marksmen unfortunately didn't get any other buffs, so this is a step in the right direction for them, but I do think they need some more work, and I believe the dev said larger changes for them will be coming in the next patch. Leap Attack and Earthshake, however, very big buffs. Now that they are tagged with the area tag, this means certain pieces of gear that buff area damage will now benefit these moves. Earthshaker, being a staple of all champions kits, one of their strongest moves, now has a chance to get even stronger. And Leap Attack, specific to the Black Knight, being one of his best moves, and the thing that really makes him probably the best champion, now is even stronger as well. So really strong buffs here for champions in general. This next one here is actually pretty niche. There is an item that grants you the ability to cast Bone Cage. Apparently before, this could be used on units that took up more than one grid space, and that was just kind of weird because the Bone Cage model only covers units of one size. So this is a bit of a nerf to that item, but it is a very specific relic item, so I don't think many people are really going to be noticing much of a hit from this. Now, this next one I'm very happy about. They lowered the requirement for the Parry Master Challenge from 5,000 all the way down to 3,000. If you're not familiar, the Parry Master Challenge is how you get the block essence to increase block chance by 5%. And I've actually talked about this in a previous video about how it's such a good essence, but it's so crazy hard to get. And I actually brought this up to the devs through the Discord, and they replied pretty much immediately like, okay, yeah, that's, a good point. We already have it marked down for the next patch. We're going to drop this down to 3,000. So they are actively paying attention to feedback and listening. And this right here just is cool because it's a very direct example of first-hand experience of just how attentive they are to feedback like this. They changed a couple of achievements around to make them easier to get because they were pretty specific. It's a trap achievement now. You just need to kill 5 enemies in their own round in a single encounter. Before, I think it was you had to trigger like 5 traps in one turn or something. I don't remember exactly what it is. I managed to get it somehow, but now just get some kills in an encounter. This is pretty easy to set up if you're an achievement hunter. So for this next achievement, Fire Walk With Me, previously this was specifically requiring you to use Ector's Fire Blast skill. Now it's just any Arcanist using a fire-based skill. So it's still primarily going to be Ector for a lot of people, but now you can also do it with Merlin, who has Falling Star, which is just a higher damage Fire Blast, so the achievement will be even easier if you pick Merlin. Now, this next one is a huge thing. I see this mentioned all the time in the Discord, in the Reddit, that the mission, the Return of Morgana Le Fay, the recruitment mission for Morgana, is just extremely difficult. A lot of those demon-possessed villagers, if you go in at level 14 like it says, and you go in unprepared, they can very easily just wipe the floor with you. So they have tuned down the health on them and some of the damage on them. So they should hopefully be much more reasonable going forward. They did some different improvements and reviews to endgame missions. They didn't go into huge detail here. I mean, just speaking from my own experience, I have personally submitted a lot of feedback or bug reports to all kinds of different endgame missions, so there should be a lot of fixes to those. Some of them bugged out easily, some of them just didn't track objectives properly, so I imagine most of them should be working properly now. They rebalanced some enchants. You can see, for example, Blood Magic and Wild Magic. If you've seen my Merlin build, you'll know exactly why Wild Magic had to get relooked at, because that Summer Staff was just straight busted with how Wild Magic currently worked. So now it is still quite strong, that staff, its effect is the same, but now it is going to be a little bit harder to trigger that effect, and I think, meaning you can't trigger that huge effect turn after turn, is completely fair. Now the two big ones here at the end. They rebalanced AP per kill enchants, which will now only grant AP once per turn. So this means a lot of those crazy builds you've probably heard of or seen with champions just getting a bazillion AP per kill and therefore stacking their rage stacks to the moon in a single turn and killing everything for like 800 damage per swing. Now that's not going to be quite as doable. As you can see here in their own note, it was obviously overtuned, and they do want builds to be strong, but obviously just sweeping an entire team in one turn and doing more than double their life pool in damage is a bit much. Now, I have tested this personally. The AP per kill once per turn applies to gear, not skills. So, a champion's rage ability that does apply 1 AP per kill, this can trigger more than once per turn. I think this is fair, so that way if you aren't lucky enough to get a bunch of AP per kill items or whatever. Now, if rage is your only AP per kill, if you're lining up your AoEs correctly, you're playing smart, this can definitely enable you to get, an extra kill and maybe even 2. But you're not going to be going completely crazy and team wiping. With high AP per kill on gear, getting like 7 off your first kill, I still think that's extremely significant. That extra 7, which is definitely possible, I've personally done that. That alone there is enough to get an extra attack in, almost 2, or 1 plus some movement, plus, the more reoccurring ones, like from the rage skill. Just to put it shortly, this is a nerf to champions, but not a huge one as much as you'd think. It's definitely more of a rebalancing. Playing this firsthand, champions are still extremely strong and can definitely get a good amount of kills per turn and definitely hit the highest damage in the game as long as you're speccing that rage correctly, and this definitely makes the mastery for it of having rage last 3 turns instead of 2 a bit more important. Now, this last one here is a bit of a nerf to Vanguards. The jump ability has had its cooldown increased to 3, previously being 1. With 1, it was very easy to get multiple jumps per round, especially if you were running sages with Inspire and cooldown reduction on that Inspire. So now if you want to get multiple jumps, you're going to need to be working a lot harder for it. The devs say here they don't really want to nerf their damage or their hide ability as much because they think that's too integral to their gameplay and don't want to overcompensate, which I think is a fair approach. So they think by making them more risky to play, that will prevent them from getting so many kills in a single turn like they currently can. And by greatly limiting their mobility, they can't, jump from enemy to enemy quite so often. So this will lower the amount of kills they can get, I think. Personally, I don't think this is quite enough. I do think potentially a hide nerf may be necessary in the form of just an AP increase. Like maybe get rid of the upgrade that reduces the cost of hide from 2 to 1. I think personally that would be a good nerf, because they explicitly said they don't want to give hide a cooldown. And maybe nerfing some of the damage from surprise attack. We'll see moving forward how Vanguards work. Maybe this will be enough. Personally, I kind of doubt that. Now, when we get to this section of the patch notes, it's just a lot of sort of minor miscellaneous stuff. You can go ahead and pause if you want to read it for yourself. You can also obviously just find this through Steam. If you click on the game in your library at the very top, it'll say patch notes. But they fixed a lot of bugs, as you can see, for a lot of maps, a lot of side objectives, fixed achievement tracking, fixed a lot of traits that weren't working properly or bugging out, bugs that were being caused by certain skills. So this patch is huge. They did a lot. They put a lot of work into here, and I mean, having read through this pretty thoroughly myself, they have addressed a lot of the feedback we have been giving them. So this is really cool to see. I'm very happy to see just how much work they put into this first major patch, and gets me really excited and happy to see what else they're going to be putting out in the future, and just the high level of interaction they're having with the community. It's great. I just have that much more faith in them, and I'm really looking forward to that June release where we're going to be able to play as Fomorians. That sounds sick. So that's all the coverage I'm really going to give for this video. Don't want to get in too long. Just mostly want to go into the balance stuff, as that's most of the video content that I really put out concerns a lot of that. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.